Hi, Mithos here, and welcome to Time Chunk, where I restrict my access to a RuneScape game chunk for 8 hours. If I pass all of its objectives within this time, I unlock the chunk permanently. If I fail, I lose access to it. No time to waste, the clock is running, let's go. Hi all, starting off with a small general update. I've got a new microphone, so hopefully the sound will be a lot better this episode. So, in the previous episode we discovered we are likely going to be desert locked for quite some time. At the same time, we did unlock some more of the desert chunks, establishing us to be more and more of a desert chunk man. This is how the map currently looks like. We locked out of 2 chunks last episode, and Lumbridge is rollable again. Briefly summarizing, chunk 1 has a 1 in 5000 curved bone drop. I can also train smithing with Giant's Foundry, though I don't have official access with my chunks. Chunk 2 and 3 are empty and are free unlocks. Chunk 4 has a 90 mining requirement, impossible within 8 hours, but nice to make progress to. Chunk 5 is the Calphite Queen, which I want to postpone as long as possible. Chunk 6 has just a few tiles and is pretty much empty for now. And Chunk 7 is Lumbridge, which has nice progression for the account. Overall, I prefer to roll 1, 4 or 7, and definitely want to avoid 5. Anyway, let's roll. And the next chunk is River Elite Central. I don't think there's anything interesting, but let's check it out anyway. As indicated by the chunk picker, nothing of interest, though I can kill some Pollen of Niche bandits to the south. They unfortunately drop nothing besides bones, so that leaves me to think about what I will do in the next 8 hours. And I still believe the main way to progress my account is to train combat on Algorithm warriors, which is pretty much what I did. Is it interesting content? No, especially considering I spent much of the last episode on these guys as well. Luckily for you, I will breeze through many of the hours of training in a matter of seconds. But believe me, I've seen the phrase, "Brother, I will help thee with this infidel," countless of times by now. The only interesting part of these guys is that they drop clue scrolls. My intention with scrolls is to keep every one that I have access to, plus the ones that are only one rollable chunk away. This did mean I was juggling over a dozen clue scrolls without being able to actually complete one. Let's hope it's worth it, since clues can give some nice upgrades. Anyway, I got up to 50 attack and 48 defense. I still bury every bone that I see, and with 35 prayer, getting close to unlocking those protection prayers. Can't believe I would actually get that with only burying regular bones. Here's a quick overview of the progress that I made in this chunk. Only a few combat levels, however, I did pass the 1 million XP mark. These small accounts grow up so fast. And back to the chunk picker. This is how the map currently looks like. It changed a little bit. Chunk 3 is a new empty chunk, and Chunk 4 is Pollen of Niche, which has some nice upgrades and should be possible to complete in 8 hours. Overall, I kind of want Chunk 1 and 8 for good progression. I want to avoid 6 as long as possible. No postponing, let's roll. And the next chunk is... oh no, the Calphite Lair. Not sure how much I can actually do here. The Calphite Queen is super strong. I have no protection prayers, I have no good food, I have no anti-poison. Let's check it out though. Here's a list of tasks I need to do to complete this chunk. Most are related to the Calphite Queen and her drops. However, there are also some drops of other Calphites that might be possible to obtain. So there's 4 monsters in the Calphite Lair. First there are level 28 workers. These are the only ones that do not poison you. The only notable upgrade that they have is a 1 in 64 hard leather body. I do really want that, since range might be the only viable method of killing higher level mobs. Second, there are level 85 Calphite soldiers. These have some defensive upgrades, such as a mithril chain body, a mithril square shield and an adamant med helm, all 1 in 128. They can poison you already, so should probably be safe spotted. Third, there are the level 141 Calphite guardians. They can drop a rune chain body, a mithril kite shield and a rune med helm, also all 1 in 128. These guys are quite strong and also need to be safe spotted. Finally, the Calphite Queen herself with all of her uniques. I'm aware there might be some safe spot methods to take her down, though I'm not sure if it is possible to set that up without prayers, good food and anti-poison. For now, I'm just going to focus on the level 28 workers until I get the hard leather body. Once I have that, I can start trying to take down higher level mobs with ranged. I was also still juggling over a dozen clues. But Calphites don't drop them, and I did not want to waste any more time running back and forward. So I tried my 55% chance on a beginner casket, but unfortunately did not get it. I banked 1 remaining beginner and easy clue and let the rest despawn. I went like 4 times the drop rate for the hard leather body and killed over 240 Kelphites to get it, which took me close to 3 hours. Now, what's next? I figured that safe spotting with range was the best option for the other Kelphites. However, I was only 25 ranged, so I would barely hit them with my current stats. So I first decided to train it up to 30. I also realized that I would not be able to pick up arrows without getting possibly poisoned, which meant I needed a lot of arrows. Let's see how many I would actually be able to get by just picking up the 3 spawns in an earlier chunk I unlocked. After around 20 minutes of world hopping, I got around 300 arrows, which translates to around 900 per hour. Probably a little bit closer to 1000, since world hopping seems to pause the in-game timer very briefly. Regardless, with my current hit rate I would need more than 300 arrows for a single Kelphite Guardian kill. Range is currently just not really a viable method. The only other way to kill them is by flinching, which is stepping back after attacking and waiting until I'm out of combat. With an inventory full of kebab, I went deep inside the lair to a safe spot for Kelphite Guardians to start flinching. I picked up some potato cactus for the achievement diary along the way. Well, flinching is certainly possible, but incredibly slow. With my hit rate of less than 25% and their 170 HP, killing just a single one of them took me roughly half an hour. After 2 kills without any drops, I wanted to try my luck with the Kelphite soldiers. With a higher hit chance and them having 90 HP, these went a bit quicker with around 10 minutes per kill. Though after 4 kills without any drops, I decided to call it a day. This experiment failed. My combat stats and available weapons were simply not good enough yet. So I spent my last 2 hours training range some more back in Alcarid. This might at least help if I roll this chunk in the future. While I knew the Kelphite Queen itself would be near impossible, I underestimated how difficult regular Kelphites already were. I will certainly keep training my combat so that we can actually make some progress in this chunk next time, and who knows, maybe I'll even be able to take the Kelphite Queen on then. I'm sure that statement will not age poorly. Overall, gained quite a few range levels in this chunk and got a small ranged gear upgrade with the hard leather body. And ready for another roll. Here's the chunk map. Not much has changed with the failed Kelphite Queen chunk. Alcarid North Mine has become rollable again though, after being locked for 5 rolls. The upside of rolling the worst chunk possible is that the remaining chunks are all fine. Chunk 2 with Giant's Foundry would still be my preferred roll. Chunk 5 has a good moneymaker via thieving, Chunk 1 and 6 are good to make mining progression, and Chunk 8 allows better fletching training while also making some money. The rest are all empty chunks, not necessarily bad, since they pave the way for interesting chunks in the future. Okay, enough yapping, let's roll. Come on, Giant's Foundry. And it's going to be... Polnivnic. Alright, probably the second best one. It might actually be the only chunk with content that I can complete in 8 hours. At least I hope I can. Let's check it out. Here's a list of the tasks. The easy diary is taking the magic carpet to Polnivnic, and the hard diary is blackjacking a mana fight, which requires 65 thieving. All other tasks revolve around getting the quest to feud done, and doing the blackjacking thieving method it unlocks. One of the bandits in the quest drops an adamant scimitar, which is a nice weapon upgrade. So I immediately went off to do the feud. The quest guide mentions needing leather gloves. I don't know if it's a hard requirement, but I actually do not have them. Luckily, I did kill some cows wandering in my very first chunk, and I can craft my own using the tanner in Alcarid. After making them, I went to Polnivnic, where pretty much the rest of the quest takes place. Stealing from citizens, knocking people out, buying camels, poisoning bandits, this quest has it all. I did have to fight 2 higher level bandits, who hit quite hard. But I managed to find 2 flinching spots, making it simple, though a bit longer. The rest of the quest was easy, and I managed to do everything in around half an hour. First quest of the account completed. Nice. Together with the adamant scimitar upgrade, it also gave me 15k thieving experience, getting me to 43. The rest of the chunk tasks required me to go all the way to 65 thieving, which is 450k experience. This is twice the experience of my highest skill so far. But luckily, I just unlocked blackjacking, which is pretty much the best thieving XP in the game. It does need 45 thieving to start though, so I first needed to pickpocket some more Alcarid warriors. This method is a lot slower, but did not take too long for just the 2 levels. Let's see if you can actually complete this chunk in time. At level 45 I can blackjack the bearded bandits. After knocking them down for 10 XP, I can pickpocket them twice for 65 XP each, for a total of 140 XP per cycle. This starts out with around a 60% success rate at level 45. Now, if you fail, they become aggressive and start attacking you. However, there is a trick to avoid this. If you knock out the bandit again immediately, or if you attempt to pickpocket with a full inventory, this aggression resets. Even if you fail either one of those, it is possible to complete the lure dialogue between attacks, making them unaggressive again. One other nice unlock in this chunk is the bar to the south. It sells jugs of wine for just a single coin. The wine heals for 11, so a substantial upgrade for my kebab, which heals around 6 on average currently. It also leaves an empty jug, leaving my inventory full to easily reset the bandit's aggression, making it the perfect item for blackjacking. After getting level 55, I could move on to the next type of bandit, the ones without beard and with scimitars. All bandits have the same knockout success rate with around 66% at level 55. You can pickpocket these twice for 84 XP each, and with 10 XP for knocking out, this results in 178 XP per cycle, around 27% better than the previous bandits. Together with the higher success chance, quite a substantial jump in XP per hour. Still, it took me around 5 hours in the chunk to get all the way to 65, and with that I could blackjack the last type of bandit, Manified Thugs. At level 65, knockout success rates are a little bit over 72%. These give a whopping 137.5 XP per pickpocket, so with the 10 base knockout XP, this results in 285 XP per cycle, a 60% increase from the previous bandits. Anyway, pickpocketing only one of them was the final chunk task, so that marks another chunk completed. I decided to continue pickpocketing the Manifieds for the next hour and a half, and got all the way to level 70 thieving. I banked almost all my cash before coming here, and overall in this chunk I made over 300k. So in my final hour I spent some of this cash on feathers and bronze bars, and feathered all arrow shafts I had remaining. Having a good money making method unlocked improves my fletching XP per hour from around 3.7k to around 10k, so this almost triples. While not an official chunk task, I can do some of the rogue trader kind of mini quest. All I need to do is speak to Ali, then to the blackjack merchant in Polnivnic, and then to Ali again. Ali then sells blackjacks to me as well. The offensive willow blackjack is actually a decent crush weapon for me at the moment. That was it for this chunk, a lot of account progression, a lot of thieving levels, an insane amount of XP, and also more gold in the bank. Probably one of the biggest unlocks of the account so far. Alright, back to the chunk map we go. Chunk 2 becomes rollable again, which I still want to avoid because I can't finish it within 8 hours. With thieving as a good money maker just unlocked, this has become easier, but probably is still a 15 to 20 hour grind. If I first roll a chunk with an anvil, so 3 or 10, this becomes a lot easier. If I roll an empty chunk, I can also work on this goal so that it becomes manageable later on. The other two new chunks are 6 and 7. Both of them I can barely enter, but are crucial to unlock more of the desert later on. I cannot enter the chunk east of Polnivnic. It looked from the chunk map like I could, but I went there to check it out, and I was only one tile short of running past the river. That's too bad because Nada to the southeast has some very interesting stuff. Anyway, 5 chunks with nothing to do and 5 chunks with content. Good split. As long as I'll avoid 2, I'm happy. Let's go. And the next roll is... the desert hunting area. As far as I know, there isn't anything there, but it might be useful in the future. Let's check it out anyway. There is indeed nothing interesting other than a couple of hunter creatures I currently don't have access to. For the lowest level activity, I need level 500 and a bird snare. Hunter needs to be land, and I'm currently only level 2, and the bird snare can be bought in Nada, just a few chunks away. However, for now there's nothing to do, so I need to decide on another activity. And for this I chose fletching for a pretty simple reason. Looking at the chunk map, most chunks are either free or take quite long to complete, with one exception, Emir's Arena. It has a 58 fletching grind, and with access to feathers and enough cash, I can get around 10k XP per hour. This makes it around a 15-hour grind for the remaining levels. So I figured if I spend 8 hours training it now, it should be completable within 8 hours whenever I roll the chunk in the future. And that's exactly what I did. 8 hours of cutting the same 5 trees and fletching them into arrow shafts. Unfortunately, the world hopping stopped me from getting random events entirely during this time. I am able to get clue scrolls from regular trees and should get one roughly every hour. However, I messed up my clue scroll juggling, they stay on the ground for an hour, and I missed picking them up only in a matter of seconds. So I lost the clues I had saved, though I only had one I could do in my current chunks anyway. Speaking of frustrating clue stuff, the most southern tree drops clue nests just outside the chunk. And of course, it feels like most drops are actually from that specific tree. Anyway, these are the stats at the end of my chunk. Made some good woodcutting and fletching progress. By my estimation, I would need a little over 100k arrow shafts, and I've gotten 65k already. Overall in this episode, we managed to unlock 3 out of 4 chunks, the most we have done so far. Time's up. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay updated on my progress, like and subscribe. If you have any questions or tips, leave them in the comments below. Have a nice day and see you next time.